So here at the Centro we had a pretty heavy rain last night, which is always a blessing and we're always grateful for that. However, as I mentioned in the previous video, that can cause some challenges in the worm area. So let's take a look. So here's a worm area, and you can see that we have some flooding issue. Now, if you look in the bed, worms can't breathe underwater. They really don't like this kind of situation. Here you see one kind of trying to make an escape. Let's take a look at the other bed. Yeah, you can see a whole bunch just kind of crawling out. This one's not quite as saturated. So in this kind of situation, what we do is we have Luis here. He's about to set up a submersible pump. He's going to pump out these flooded areas. And another thing that we're going to do is we're going to fill up our bedding. So that can be kind of tricky because the worms digest the bedding pretty efficiently. So we have to kind of stay on top of that. So the goal is to keep the bedding up above the ground level up to the very, very edge of the bed, so that when it floods, it'll only flood up to about ground level, except in a very extreme case. But if it floods to ground level, there's still a little bit of bedding right at the top for the worms to escape to. So they have a little spot where they can hide out, and they won't be on the edge of the beds trying to make their escape. So here's our fix for the day. As you can see, this is where the bedding level was earlier, and this is new material that we've brought in. It was kind of partially composted, but it seems cool enough and dry enough that it won't heat up here in the bed. And it just raises the level. As you can see, this is ground level, and it raises the level of the material to just above ground level here. So even if the flooding gets to ground level, there is a dry place for the worms to head off. Here you can see some of our worms escaping. Don't worry, we'll rescue them in just a moment, but I want to show you that this escape makes the worms vulnerable to things like ants. You can see that they're kind of under attack by ants. Luis is making progress here with the submersible pump. He's pumped out most of this, what was flooding in this bed, and he's working on the next couple of beds. So crisis averted, but something we have to keep in mind. Just a reminder that the reason we have the bed set up this way is to avoid the heat. It does get very, very hot, hotter than the worms like here in this region of Mexico. So with every solution, there's a new set of challenges, but I think we got it under control for today. All right, well, we're one day out from our little worm exodus that we had because of flooding. So let's take a look at the progress. As you can see, even though we still got some rain last night, we're not nearly as flooded as we were yesterday. So we pumped out these holes here and they stayed dry, thankfully. We also made an effort to really build up our bedding and the beds. We also added some shredded cardboard on top. They sure like to go up into the cardboard where it's corrugated and lay eggs and whatnot in there. We added a little bit of eggshell in our bedding. It doesn't feel warm, so even though it wasn't kind of fully broken down material, it doesn't seem to be composting, which is great. It's just kind of some dried grass material that we had laying around. Oh, we have a visitor. These guys like to come in and eat our worms when they're coming to the top, so we're gonna go ahead and let him go on his way. I don't think we're gonna see any worms today, even when we're digging down, because yeah, they're probably just hiding out. I'm getting a little bit of warmth in here, but I don't think it's like full composting heat because, and that's okay because it's a little cooler with the rain. So yeah, I think the worms are going to be farther down in the area with more kind of edible food and material. But at least now the beds are built up, they're dry, they have some dry material on top that the worms can escape to if they need to get away from the saturated areas. You can see on the edge, nobody else trying to make an escape. So I think we can call that a success.